My name is Captain William S. Wright. I'm Senior Vice President for Marine Operations for Royal Caribbean International Cruise Line. Just wanted to share with you a few comments on the serious incident that the Brilliance of the Seas experienced in the early morning hours of December 12th. The Brilliance sailed into a very intense weather system. It's been in the news in terms of how it has impacted Israel, Syria. They're on their way from Rhodes to Alexandria in Egypt, and encountered some very severe wind conditions. In fact, winds up over 70 knots, which is actually twice the forecasted wind strength, which was about 40 to 45 knots. The sea conditions as a result of the strong winds were also extreme, and the ship impacted some of these very, very large waves well offshore of the port of Alexandria. The captain, looking at his radar, was able to determine that the entrance to the port was actually quite chaotic. It's a busy port, and many of the ships that were approaching at the same time as the Brilliance of the Seas were having to do exactly what our captain did on the Brilliance of the Seas, basically heave to and put the ship into the wind. So really the entrance of the port was again quite chaotic, and the captain made the prudent decision to keep the ship well offshore. During this time they impacted several very, very large waves, which created a highly unusual rolling of the ship, which resulted in internal damage to the ship, and unfortunately for about 60 of our guests, some injuries, most of which were minor, which we're very, very happy for. The ship itself is in completely seaworthy conditions. The cruise will continue, as will the next cruise. Unfortunately, there are certain public areas that are presently closed down, but we're able to do these repairs in service, and we're anticipating that this cruise will be completed as planned, with the exception of not having called at the port of Alexandria, Egypt, which, regardless of the heeling incident or the rolling incident, we would have canceled that port anyway, because again the conditions at the entrance to the port and inside the port were just were too severe. But again, the ship will continue. They're calling tomorrow morning at Valletta, Malta, and after that call we'll proceed with the sea day and for their turnaround port in Barcelona, Spain. So again, the ship is in good shape with some internal damage. We're taking care of the injuries of our guests, which again were, for the most part, I think the most severe injury was a fracture of a wrist, and that's being dealt with on board. And for all intents and purposes, the ship is operating, with the exception of these public areas that are shut down for repairs, operating as normal.